Okay, I am going to use the AX73 by Martinic. So I have no idea how to pronounce that. Is it Martin IC? Is it Martinic? Is it Martinic? I don't know. But I like the synth, so we're going to use it. I'm going to go with Martinic just because it sounds cool. See if we're wired up. Again, I run my audio levels hot, and I run hot on my tracks, so you may turn it down, but this is a nice level to start. So on the AX73 by Martinic, you got some front panel controls here. They're not super useful, but that's perfectly all right, because when I drill into the advanced settings, that's when we can really start to work with the synth. But there are some things I can do up front here, and so one of the things I can do is work on my amplitude envelope. So I'm going to zero everything out, including, I want velocity to be in the middle. That's right. All right, back to default. Anyway, let's work on a keys type envelope. So I'm going to tune the decay. And I want some space there. Let's tune the release. Go a little longer on the release. Good old-fashioned saw wave key. All right. There's no filter envelope on the front panel, so I'm going to do a couple of things here, which is max out the influence that the envelope generator has on frequency, and then drop the frequency all the way down. You can hear, even when I do that, some of the filter gets through. So to see okay, so like what's going on? I just messed with the filter and I had unpredictable results. So let's go to the advanced settings. Now I have access to all the controls. So here's my filter envelope. So I'm going to zero this guy all the way out. Now we got what we want to start with. So again, we're going to make a keys sound. So we're going to tune decay and release. Mouse lag. Okay, one thing about synths in general, soft synths, that bugs me, and so the people at Martinic are not the only ones to do this. I can't do a 2-finger touch trackpad scroll on any of the controls here. I have to grab them and pull them, which means my mouse pointer is going off the screen or whatever. Okay, enough sidetracking. So I did an amplitude envelope, I did a filter envelope, got my filter roughly where I want it. On a plain old saw wave. Still sounds pretty good, huh? All right, let's make it sound even better. So in the AX73, and I'm pretty sure the real one didn't have this, we got 4 Lfos to work with. And I like the way these Lfos are laid out. And I like, on a simple synth like this, I don't need a modulation matrix. I like that I have 4 Lfos, I can individually target them. This first one I want to target the oscillators, and they're global, so I'm going to affect both oscillators with 1 LFO. There might be a way to do per oscillator LFO, but I have no idea what it is. So on these LFOs, they start with a depth of nothing, which is not going to help, so got to crank that. I'm going to sync, so I'm working on vibrato, so I'm going to start fast so I can hear it. Hear that? Would you say that's too much? Yeah, I would too. gonna try an eighth. I'm gonna get a little delay. Now we make it an actual vibrato. We want it to be very subtle. So far, so good. All right, let's repeat that effort, but in a different way to the second LFO. Let's target the filter, and specifically that's filter cutoff. I think the resonance might be in here. There it is. Crank our depth. I crank the depth just so I can get, I want to hear the extreme of the control so that I know what I have to work with. Speed that up. Okay, that's where my vibrato is at. This is a case where I'm going to turn retrigger on. So I have a very predictable start to the sound. All right. So that's not bad. I like that. Again, I'm working on a single saw wave. So anything interesting about this sound has nothing to do with my waveforms or any kind of stereo processing. Okay, LFO3. Let's target that to either resonance or amplitude. I'm going to do amplitude, crank my depth, give it a sync. All right, hear that? Now this is where it happens. I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit for now. We'll tune that probably a little bit more when we get it in tempo. So some key sounds are really good to just arpeggiate chords, you know, like Moonlight Sonata or whatever that kind of stuff is. But this is not one of those sounds. In this sound, if all the voices don't hit at the same time, it sounds like just a mess. So I'm really kind of glad these LFOs are global. So LFO4 is hardwired already to pulse width modulation, which is fine because I'm going to use it. Depth is all the way up. Thank you. Sync. I'm going to do this slow at 3/4. This is also the time control. See, they control each other. So that's there just for convenience. And then this is how much. I guess this is like either my starting phase or starting width there. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to stick it in the middle until I hear what it sounds like. And then I got to make this. Oh. Yeah, my head is in the wrong place. VCO2. we need to take this depth down a little bit more. Yep. All right, so we have our pulse width. We've got some LFO going on. Actually, I would expect like pulse width modulation to be more extreme than that. Maybe it's... Oh, there we go. I guess I really don't know what that control does. Okay. So I've got my envelope set, got a good keys sound going. I have a pretty much a 50-50 mix between saw and square, running some pulse width modulation. I'm running vibrato, I'm running a filter sweep, and I'm running a cool amplitude thing in tempo. So that sounds pretty cool, right? But now let's check out the chorus that's built into this thing, because it's really nice. Instant stereophonic. It's not so terrible now for arpeggios. That was a C minor 7, by the way. I suck at the keyboard. I just use it to do sound design, and then I turn it all over to MIDI. So I have tried some of the effects on this thing. So I've got my chorus. I don't know. I don't really want a second one. The phaser's not too bad, but it's not kind of what I'm after. Reverb's not too bad, but it's not great. And well, I mean, great is relative. I'm comparing it to Liquid Sonics, for example. Delay is pretty good. Anyway, the effects are really good. I would use them. It's just that they're not what I'm after, except Flanger. So I tinkered with this Flanger for a while because I do like it. I mean, that is stereotypical, no pun intended, Flanger. But it ended up not being what I want. But you can really get some good stuff out of this. All this stuff works well. That feedback control is super cool. So that flanger is fun, but I am going to use a different flanger as I build out the channel strip. But for now, let's call this synth good, and we'll move on. Oh, I know. We haven't heard it yet. Let's hear it. So, right, it's missing, you know, it's missing delay, it's missing reverb, it's missing all the goodies, but the bass sound is there. So for fun, let's just turn it all on. It's not going to sound right for sure. Once this keys setup has as much gas as the pad, I think it'll sound good. So for fun, we can slam neutron, see what happens. So here's the thing. Sometimes you can just drive the keyboard into the next processor and peg the levels, which you might want to do. It might be a preamp simulation or a distortion unit of some kind. Here's the problem with that technique, or with that method, is that the synth itself may not allow a clipped signal. So if you flip this off, you'll see if an unclipped signal can leave the synth. Okay, and it can. Just a little, it takes 2 seconds to test it, but it's good to know that what I'm hearing is not distortion from the synth that I'm using.